There's one of the other things that we hope our committee will do was look at increasing more opportunities to encourage folks to choose walking over driving. This is a picture of, we had a walk to school program at the Little School a few years ago, and one of the main problems at schools is drop off and pickups. There's too many cars. Well, on those days that we did the walk to school day, there was no cars, there was no traffic at all. A majority of people walked. They either parked their car and walked part of the way, and they drove part of the way, or they completely walked the entire route. The committee may also assist in applying for and locating funding for pedestrian improvements. This is in Methuen. They have a nice area that they improve the sidewalks and have nice landscaping in their business district. There are different pedestrian issues. This is, you can't see the picture really well, but this is a trail in Bradford Pond near off Marblehead Street. There are a lot of nice trails in North Reading, but you have to usually drive to get there. There's not any connection that you can walk. This is an example of no pedestrian crossing or pedestrian access into the Walmart Plaza. There's a traffic light for cars, but there's no pedestrian access. There's no sidewalks, there's no curb ramp, there's nothing. They never included that in the plan when that was done about 15 to 20 years ago. In this case, there's no pedestrian access from the sidewalk. If you're entering from the sidewalk, you have to enter with the traffic, and you may not see it, but there's a white truck going into the parking lot where you would turn into to get into the driveway at CVS. So you've got to have to be watching out for cars, and cars are not watching out for you when you're doing that. They're looking out for other cars. They're not looking for pedestrians. Oh, I did that one. That was Walmart. Oh, and I'm going backwards. Sorry. Okay, this is a driveway that does not meet accessibility standards. It's a poor design. There is a slope, and when a wheelchair goes across there, it's at an angle. So it will tip over because it's not a flat crossing. Crosswalk painting is another issue. Usually that's the last thing that gets done. We just need to be highlighting people to be sure when the streets have been cleaned, which I think the street cleaner has gone through, that they will paint the sidewalks for the spring and not wait till August. Sidewalk potholes. This one was taken down near the Batchelder School. Overhangs on sidewalks to be sure that you're not bumping into things. Telephone poles on sidewalks. They're blocking part of the sidewalks. There's a pedestrian path on the common. Obviously, a lot of people use that for walking, but there's no really good access except walking in the grass. And that's a very hard area to negotiate if you're trying to get to the common. There's no good pedestrian route if you have any kind of mobility issues on balance. There's a lot of missed opportunities that happened. For example, this is the picture of a Wendy's and pictures of Winter Hill Bank. Both, they did not put a sidewalk access from the main sidewalk, so you have to, again, walk into the driveway with the cars if you're trying to access that business from walking, not driving. And these are two areas that could have easily been designed into it, and no one did it. Other missed opportunities, the Berry Center, there's no pedestrian access to North Street, so anybody who lives in that apartment complex has to drive up to 28. There's no sidewalk that extends all the way to the Berry Center. 28, when that was built, they did not include sidewalks on the whole entire route. The 62 project Park and Winter Street intersections, there's no corners and no sidewalks on one side of the street. And there's a proposed bike trail through North Reading, but there's been no advocacy towards the completion and looking for funding for it. We want to outreach to business and community members and groups, town departments and committees. And we have a Facebook page, North Reading Citizens for Pedestrian Safety. There's 50 members for folks who are on Facebook. They can go and Google that in Facebook and they'll find us. The little cartoon here, you probably can't read it, says don't walk, and then it says sure, give it a shot. Like, try to get across the street as fast as you can. What can you do to help? That's one thing we're asking you to do is attend the Selectmen's meeting on May 17th to support the need for pedestrian advisory committee. They're gonna be they're gonna be voting on it at that meeting. The other thing you do is get out and walk and tell people that you walk. And if you go to businesses, tell them you walk to the business so they know that people just don't drive in North Reading, you walk. And you also want to contact your federal senators and representatives to support and fund more pedestrian public transit options. And thank you for your time. Do you have any questions? Yes.
Yes, I heard you say that there were 14,000 registered vehicles, is that right?
17,000.
Oh, 17,000, okay.
14,000 residents.
Oh, okay. 17,000.
That's a lot of vehicles.
17,000? So there are more vehicles than people?
Yep.
My word. More vehicles than people?
Yep.
Okay.
The issue of sidewalks did come up, I think, when they were talking about the turf field. People wanted a sidewalk, I think, along the fence, the driveway that goes up to the school. Do you remember that?
I do not remember that, because I think about that every time I drive, going, why didn't they put a sidewalk in
I think
there?
it was raised, but I don't think.
Because that would have been a perfect time to put that in, because there is no, on that side of the high school, there is no safe pedestrian separation route up to the high school.
You just walk up the driveway.
Right,
With the car.
right. Where on the other side, there is a route to get to the parking lot, on the gym side and the football field. But it's not all, some of it's new sidewalk with the Batchelder School and some of it's old sidewalk. Any other questions? Yes?
What's a more cost-effective material for sidewalk, hardtop or the concrete slabs?
Well, that's a good question. I prefer concrete because it lasts longer and it doesn't heave as much and it's more permanent. But the cheaper is the asphalt. So depending on what you're using it for, if you can see that they, on the Route 62 project, they did the sidewalk in asphalt, but the curb cuts are in concrete.
Even the concrete isn't that expensive. It's about $8 to $11 per square foot to install concrete sidewalks.
And if you look, and I don't have the statistics of that, if you look at the cost of repair or how quickly an asphalt fails versus a concrete, I think the more bang for your buck is a concrete versus the asphalt, if it's installed correctly. The other problem with both asphalt and concrete is for wheelchair users if it's not level. And if it's not at least 2% slope, and if it's higher than that, that means it causes wheelchair users to be more uneven. We may not notice it walking, but you notice it when you push it in a wheelchair. It really demands you to have more energy expanded, plus sometimes you will roll towards the curb or towards something that you don't want to roll to, and you have to constantly be correcting it. So installing a sidewalk is much more complex than it used to be because you have to be sure that that slope is correct.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you say that when you build roads, there's funding can also be used, some of that can be used towards sidewalks?
Always when roads are being built, they could use money towards sidewalks. There was never a stipulation. Usually people took the money, our tax dollars are for mainly the gas tax, and used it for roads. And they did not put any money into sidewalks because they felt people would complain more about the roads than the sidewalks. There is a push now with the federal and state government, and I'm not sure what the percentage of, so any money we get in the future that we use for highway projects or road projects, percentage will have to be used towards a maintenance or repair or installing of sidewalks. So they've almost had to mandate it now because cities and towns wouldn't make the decision on their own. Anything else? Okay, that's the end of the PowerPoint presentation. Thanks for listening.
Thank you, Meg. Well, I think it's time for us to go walking. And we finished early.
Thank you.